It is the witching hour for Trey Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs to get a long-term deal done before the 2025 season begins. Derrick Lewis, a huge knockout over the weekend, which that heavyweight division, me and EDJ talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It is in an interesting spot at this moment, and I don't think Derrick Lewis getting a knockout victory helps it too much. Either way, we'll talk about that and the card over the weekend. Of course, UFC 318 this upcoming weekend. Dustin Poirier's retirement fight against Max Holloway for the BMF, as well as the MLB All-Star break is here. We'll kind of look at the standings, go over some things. The Home Run Derby was last night as well, and kind of see where the Royals and Cardinals shape up heading into the second half of the Major League Baseball season. We got a lot to talk about today on the Papa Stronos podcast, so let's get into it. The Jaden Hicks film breakdown should be live on the channel right now. I will link that in the description. Make sure you go check that out and all of my off-season film breakdowns. If you enjoy the content, smash that subscribe button for me. Hit the like button as well on the podcast if you enjoy the podcast. Really helps out the channel, helps get it to other people and sports fans alike. So I really do appreciate it. I'm shooting for 500 subscribers before the NFL season begins. I think we're about 160 away, which we're getting close. So I'm excited for that. So if you will, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me, and let's get into it. So first things first that I want to talk about is the Trey Smith situation. Obviously, all off season, we kind of been waiting to see what's going to happen. The Chiefs have kind of made some strategic moves. I think Joe Thuney and his trade was help with the salary cap. Probably look at the salary cap here in just a second. We'll pull it up. But obviously the Chiefs want to keep Trey Smith around, and I think that's the right move. I think that Creed Humphrey and, look, obviously Joe Thuney was a big role in that front three, the interior of the offensive line. But I do think that, obviously, I mean, he won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady in New England. Joe Thuney's been around for a while. The Chiefs went after Joe Thuney after the Tampa Bay Super Bowl loss that obviously, they had offensive line problems in that game, just like they did in this Eagles game in this Super Bowl recently. So Joe Thuney's been around. I think it was a smart move to get rid of him, and I think the more that I think about it, obviously there's the initial shock. I think there's a lot of people that don't like it. I just did my Kingsley Suamataia breakdown of his film. That is part of those off-season breakdowns. We've done Jalen Moore, who, of course, the Chiefs went out and signed. So I do think the Chiefs like Suamataia at left guard. I don't mind going to somebody younger and maybe having some growing pains, I guess. But I think that interior line, and this is what a lot of people miss, is left tackle, right tackle. They're the guys blocking the edges. They're the guys blocking, the scary pass rushers, right, in the league. And so when you look at the middle of that line, it helps out the run game more than the pass game. Obviously, you need interior offensive line, to protect either way, but whether it's passing or pushing forward for the run game. But I think utilizing Suamataia over at left guard is going to help, and relieve that money, that cap space for Trey Smith to get some, more money and get him a long-term deal. Obviously, the Chiefs got Creed Humphrey in a long-term deal this past season. So looking at the cap space, which I will show you. So here's the current situation for the Kansas City Chiefs. They sit at about $10.8 million for 2025, 2026. We're going about 37.7, and in 2027, the Chiefs are looking at about $100 million, which over the next 3 years. But $10 million for this year, and that is counting Trey Smith's, current deal, and we will go ahead and look at left guards, which his current deal is obviously the franchise tag. And so let's see. My bad. Went to the wrong position. Need to go to right guard instead of left guard. Joe Thuney with a nice deal. Obviously, Trey Smith is getting the most out of anyone right now under that tag for the year at $23.4 million, fully guaranteed would be for that tag. Right now, what you looking at about $20 million per. So for right guards, if they do get a deal done, it is probably going to be cheaper APY. Obviously, it's going to be spread out over a few years. Trey Smith at 26, assuming he probably gets 4 or 5 years on that deal. I'm actually curious now to see what exactly Creed Humphreys, who is the highest paid center at 18 flat APY, 72 million over. Let's see, how many years is this? So many ads on Over the Cap. I love Over the Cap, but it is kind of one of those websites that's got a ton of pop-ups. But we look at it, that's over 4 years that Creed Humphrey signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. So Trey Smith, look, I think that a long-term deal needs to get done. I think in the long run, it'll be cheaper for the Chiefs to get Trey Smith on a long-term deal. But we'll see what happens. I mean, they have till 3 p.m. Like I said, I'm recording this. It's now 11:30 Kansas City time. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes with Trey Smith if they get a deal done. I would like to think that they get a long-term deal done, whether they get it done today or not. But, I think it's something big, because when you look at that offensive line, I mean, it's kind of been taped together for, the last few years, really. I mean, they got Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey out of the draft same year. You're also going to have to deal with Trent McDuffie, his contract, as well as Jalen Watson. Josh Williams. So you've got a few guys to think about from this draft class. And looking at cornerbacks right now, I mean, the going rate for a top-tier corner, about $25 to $30 million APY, which, you look at Patrick Surtain, he's making $24 million a year. And, I mean, Trent McDuffie is up there. I mean, he is up there, one of the top, probably, I would say, top 3 corners in the league. I think that he had an amazing season last year. We'll see what this year brings. And, we'll see what the Chiefs, maybe see what the market value is for him altogether. Look at this article from Front Office Sports that they put out just a little bit earlier today. Trey Smith and the Chiefs are running out of time for a long-term contract. Obviously, they have till 3 p.m. That's 4 p.m. Eastern. He's just one of 2 players on the franchise, or one of 2 players to have the franchise tag placed on him this offseason. Smith and T. Higgins were the 2, the lowest in 31 years. That's kind of wild. Lowest amount of tag players. T. Higgins, of course, agreed to that 4-year, $115 million deal in March. Chiefs general manager Brett Veach previously said extending Smith was a priority to the organization and was aiming to finalize a new contract before the NFL draft. That obviously did not happen. Hopefully we get that done, Veach said at the NFL Draft Combine in March. There's no lack of interest or will or desire on our end. There's no secret that we would like to lock Trey up, is what he said. June 25th, Smith was elected by the Chiefs in the just 25. At just 25 now. Smith was selected by the Chiefs in the 6th round of the 2021 NFL Draft. Has been extremely durable throughout his career. He started every one of the 67 games he's appeared in, missing just 1 game in 4 seasons in 2024. He was named to the first team Pro Bowl, or to his first Pro Bowl, after allowing just 1.5 sacks on Patrick Mahomes, a career low. Smith did not attend the team's OTAs in March, but appeared for mandatory minicamp in June. He's a critical piece of the team that lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles, partially due to its offensive line play. The franchise tag tool that allows NFL teams to retain their top players without losing them in free agency. A tag player receives a 1-year deal and has until July 15th to agree to a long-term deal. Otherwise, the player will play on the 1-year deal according to NFL rules. A player can be tagged up to 3 times in their career. The value of the tag varies by position and type of tag used. The tag has 3 applications: exclusive, non-exclusive, and transition. Exclusive tags prevent a player from seeking an offer from another team, while non-exclusive, the most common tag, allows players to seek other offers from other teams. Tagging team has the right to match any offer and would receive 2 first-round picks as compensation if the player leaves. Transition tag is similar to the non-exclusive tag, but comes with a smaller salary and no draft compensation. If Smith and the Chiefs don't agree on a new deal by 3 p.m. today, he'll play the 2025 season on a 1-year deal worth $23.4 million, which we just saw. Additionally, NFL rules prohibit players with franchise tag from negotiating a new deal after the season ends, which means Smith and the Chiefs wouldn't be able to return to negotiations until 2026. Smith would break a record for his position playing on this 1-year deal. His $23.4 million salary eclipses the $21 million average salary of Eagles guard Landon Dickerson, who was signed to a 4-year, $84 million deal in 2023. Smith could command similar contract that tops Dickerson's. If Smith is tagged again in 2026, he'll make roughly $28 million while playing on it, which is why it would be a much more expensive option for Trey Smith to continue to be tagged. So, obviously, the Chiefs financially would love to make a deal, a long-term deal, get Trey Smith locked up for the 2026 season and beyond. We will see if that happens. Honestly, at this point, I mean, unless we get some breaking news in the next couple of hours, I don't see it happening. But by the time this podcast is out, more than likely, it will be past 3 p.m. So we will see how my prediction goes. I would say that they don't get a deal done. They come back in 2026. Obviously, the Chiefs have been known for kind of being cheap over the last couple of years, probably trying to get him on a team-friendly deal. You know, and Trey Smith is worth it. So I feel like I understand Trey Smith's side of trying to get paid as much as he possibly can and, you know, break a record at right guard and get a solid new deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Trey Smith is, how is this going to work out? Do they get a long-term deal done? I guess by the time this comes out, it doesn't really matter. It'll probably be out there whether he gets it or not. Do they end up getting a long-term deal done in 2026 if the franchise tag or if the long-term deal is not made off of this franchise tag? We will see. All right, next up, let's talk about UFC Fight Night Nashville this past weekend. Derrick Lewis gets a huge win. We're going to kind of go through the card and look at some of this as Lauren Murphy is about where Lauren Murphy and Eduardo Mora is about where I started watching this card. I didn't see much of it. Walter Walker gets a submission win. That's a heavyweight bout. Okay, so Walter Walker is the guy that 3 heel hooks in a row, I'm assuming, in 54 seconds of the very first round. It's a pretty big victory. So, you know, maybe Walker is a guy to watch in the heavyweight division, and we're going to get into that a little bit. And like I said, me and EDJ talked about it a couple weeks ago on the podcast that the UFC's heavyweight division, I'm going to get into the rankings in a minute, is just not great right now. Just not great. Fatima Klein gets a victory over Melissa Martinez. That was a 3rd round TKO. Lightweight bout, Mike Davis gets a victory over Mitch Ramirez. He also gets a finish in the 2nd round. I'm not even going to try to pronounce Kennedy's last name, but losing to Walter Walker, submission, very first round, 54 seconds into it. I'm actually have to go back and watch that fight because I didn't see it. Mora, solid victory. Lauren Murphy had her moments, I guess. It was her retirement fight in Nashville, and, you know, she went out with a decision loss. Was what it was. I mean, I feel like she pretty much got outclassed by Mora. Like I said, had her moments. Jake Matthews with a spectacular performance. And, you know, shout out to Ray. Me and him were talking, watching this card, and I'm just like, you see Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani, and I said, what year is it? Because it feels like this is a fight that could have happened 10 years ago. And Jake Matthews, though, absolutely terrific performance. Round 1 finish. Got onto Njokuani's back pretty much, standing, locked in an RNC, got the victory. Very, very good performance from Jake Matthews. Max Griffin, Chris Curtis, split decision victory. Nothing really too entertaining in that fight, and two guys that are really kind of past, any type of prime. And the fact that, they were talking about how Max Griffin still wanted to be a contender, I think, at 37. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get if you want to keep fighting, keep making that money, get that show money, and try to get the win money. Didn't succeed on Saturday night, but it is what it is. And I understand, like you want to get to the pinnacle of the sport, but sometimes you got to be realistic with yourself. And I don't think Max Griffin is probably going to make a run like that anytime soon at welterweight. Chris Curtis, who also, I can't remember the ages, but one of them was 37, one's 39. Let's see if they give us that in the drop-down menu here. Does not say, I don't believe. That's all right. Either way, both of them pushing 40. Chris Curtis waiting, that long to move down to 170, which really seemed like his natural weight class all along. I just don't think was ideal. Me and Ray talked about that as well. Getting onto the main card, Tuco Tokos, submission victory over Junior Tafa. He had a pretty good fight. He came in as the underdog in this fight at plus 136 odds. Very good fight from Tokos. And Junior Tafa is going to have to go back to the drawing board, coming down from heavyweight. I'm not sure if that was his first fight at light heavyweight or if he's had a couple, but man, what a transformation Junior Tafa has made. Looked like almost a completely different person, I feel like. Vitor Petrino with the victory over Austin Lane. He gets a submission victory. Maybe another guy that could be somewhere in the mix. I mean, that top 15 doesn't seem like it's too hard to break into. Morgan Charrier, he gets a TKO victory over Nate Landwehr, and that fight, I mean, that was a vicious TKO. He pretty much flatlined him. He got him against the cage, landed a good combo, knocked him down, got him wobbly, and then really knocked him down with that last right hook that just flipped Landwehr over, basically getting the victory. So maybe a guy to look out for in that featherweight division coming up. Steve Garcia, I think he really put his name on the map at featherweight with a big win over Calvin Kattar, winning over the number 14 ranked fighter in the division. Steve Garcia, I think, showed us a lot. And my bad, I didn't mean to go to his fighter profile, but I just wanted to look at the fight breakdown because, I mean, Steve Garcia, I mean, you look at this full fight, 85 to 26 total strikes landed, 80 significant strikes. I guess I don't know if that total strikes is correct. With a knockdown as well, and just going round by round. I mean, 22 to 8, 32 to 5, round 3, 31 to 13. I mean, Steve Garcia had a terrific performance. I mean, pretty much flawless performance against Calvin Kattar on Saturday night. This was the fight that was tough. And, man, I feel for you. If you put some money on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the underdog, plus 320 dog coming into this fight, and you watched him get robbed the way he did, I mean, I feel like he controlled the fight for the most part. Look at the breakdown on this one just to kind of get a feel for it. Round 1, 17 to 9. On total strikes, 14 to 6 significant strikes. It's kind of a slow fight as well, but Wonderboy really poured it on in that second round. 37 to 16 total, 29-16 on the significant side. And then Bonfim, who got a little edge in the significant strikes, 2 of 6 on his takedowns in the third round. Outstruck, though, 32 to 22. Bonfim 1 of 5 in the second round, 2 of 3 in the first round. I mean, Bonfim probably took that first round, but past that, I mean, it was, hey, they say don't leave it up to the judges, and they are not lying about that. So, I don't know, tough fight for Wonderboy, and I think that he probably should have got the win in that. Probably a split decision Wonderboy's way, but either way, main event of the evening, they did not leave it in the hands of the hands of the judges. Plus 210 dog coming in, ranked at number 9, Derrick Lewis. He gets a first round finish, 35 seconds. I mean, that big left hook And this was a little bit of a controversial stoppage, some people thought. I didn't think so. I feel like when Tyson Teixeira was using his hands and, both hands in the fence to get up, I mean, yeah, he could have taken a point. Jason Herzog could have taken a point away, reset the fight, standing up. But at that point, I mean, when it comes to brain trauma and things like that, I'm always going to side with, caution, the air to caution in these moments, just because, he took a, devastating shot with that left hook, dropped him, got hit with a bunch of more follow-up shots, and tried to get back to his feet. Didn't look like he was super rocked, but definitely dazed, Teixeira was. I mean, he had to use both his hands to get up in the fence. So I do think Herzog made the right decision. I don't think the stoppage was that controversial, personally. I thought it was a good stoppage. And, when you see a guy that's having to pull himself up like that on the fence, I just don't think that it's I don't know. I thought it was a solid stoppage. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you thought it was a good stoppage or not, or if you felt like it was early. Because I've seen plenty of people with that take. So, I mean, I'm not against, thinking maybe it was early. But I also, like I said, I'm going to always err on the side of caution. Teixeira looked like he was pretty rocked, and I don't think that it was a good idea to keep that fight going. I think it was fine the way it was and calling it right then and there. So let's look into these UFC heavyweight rankings now. You look at Teixeira has fallen. He went down from 13 to 14. That means Martin Buday went up to 13. We still have Derrick Lewis sitting at number 9. And so the rundown, 1, Ciryl Gane, 2, Alexander Volkov, 3, Pavlovich, Blades at 5, and Almeida Blades at 4, and Almeida at 5. Man, it's tough to really, I don't know, see who is next. I mean, Tom Aspinall has fought a lot of these guys already. Rizvan Kunaev, however you say that, just losing to Curtis Blades, who has become, somewhat of a gatekeeper. I know I kind of talked about that already on the podcast before, but, I don't know. I think maybe Curtis Blades, you could angle for a title shot. Maybe he needs another win against one of these top guys, maybe a Pavlovich win. Of course, Pavlovich losing to Volkov losing to Gane. It's kind of like a real MMA math situation, I think, at heavyweight right now. And seeing who could challenge. I think that, personally, I don't want to see Ciryl Gane challenge for the title. But I think he's the clear-cut number 1 contender at the moment. Anyone else that you put in there, who else can you put in there? I think the best move may be, which obviously Pereira losing the title, I don't know, what kind of shot that gives him to move up to heavyweight, but that would be a fun matchup either way. I haven't heard anyone really talk about that, but I think that it would be a fun matchup, Aspinall versus Pereira. Does Pereira want to move up? How real were those tweets before? He said he got hacked, but obviously he made some statements about the UFC. Wanting to get paid more, I'm assuming, really was basically the basis of those tweets. But again, he said he was hacked, so, whatever. I guess maybe we can believe that. I don't know. Maybe it was a manager, translator, something like that, making his tweets for him. There's just so many different ways that could go. So I don't know in this situation. Obviously I think Gane is the guy to challenge for Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall has alluded to he's got a fight news coming. So we will see, I think, in the very near future what is going to happen for the heavyweight division. But in the meantime, in between time, what do you do now? Volkov needs a fight. I think Pavlovich needs a fight. He obviously just came off of, they fought each other recently. So I don't know. I don't know where you go with kind of trying to sort out this top 10. But going back to this fight night again, you got a heavyweight down here, and Volter, now I can't remember his name, but go back down here. Volter Walker, who has 3 straight submission victories. Maybe he gets in the rankings. I guess maybe not. Obviously, seeing that he already, we've already seen the rankings update, and he hasn't got into it. 14-1 total. The clean monster. I like that. Got the win over the weekend. Then February 15th, he beat Mays. Junior Tafa, he beat August 17th of last year. So it's not like he's fought very frequently necessarily. So about 3 fights within roughly a calendar year. A little bit less than a calendar year, 11 months. So frequent enough. I don't think that's too bad. Three to 4 fights is about the usual for a very active fighter. And especially a guy trying to make a name for himself. So we'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the heavyweight division and, who is the next guy. I think Talison Teixeira was kind of a guy that the UFC probably wanted to see move up, and that's why they gave him the matchup against Derrick Lewis. I mean, you look, he was ranked number 13 going against Derrick Lewis, who was ranked number 9, and, he couldn't get the job done. And it happens at heavyweight. But, with a guy like Derrick Lewis pushing 40, I don't think that would be a bad matchup. That's something that, again, shout out to Ray, that me and him were talking about possibly a Derrick Lewis versus Tom Aspinall fight. And coming off of a knockout like that, it'd be one of those not heavyweight fights, but just title fights where it's like, okay, you're kind of picking from the bottom of the barrel, but what else do you have at heavyweight right now? I think Derrick Lewis would sell the fight with Tom Aspinall. I mean, I think it works on both sides of, he's competitive enough, only had the one title shot against Daniel Cormier back in the day, and it also works on a financial standpoint, whereas I think a lot of fans would pay to see that fight or want to see that fight. I think it would be a good fight personally, but let me know what you think the future of the heavyweight division holds in the very near future. I think it's gone, obviously, next. Hopefully they can get that fight relatively quick. I mean, we haven't seen Tom Aspinall in quite some time. I guess let me check this out. Thinking about it, because it has been a while. Was it last November the last time we saw Tom Aspinall? It was the Curtis Blades fight. Okay, and that was last July. So it has been a full calendar year since we saw Tom Aspinall in the cage. And then the November before that was the Pavlovich fight. So, I mean, you look at Tom Aspinall in a 2-year span, has only been able to fight 3 times. The Marcin Tybura fight, the comeback, obviously, from the knee injury, I believe at least. Let's load some more. Yeah. So that was the comeback from that. Knee injury in the Curtis Blades fight. Came back and absolutely starched Tybura in 1 minute and 13 seconds. Beats Pavlovich in 1 minute and 9 seconds. Then beats Curtis Blades in 60 seconds. I mean, the momentum was rolling for Tom Aspinall, and I do fear that it is possible that maybe that momentum kind of tapers off now that you haven't fought in a year. He's been healthy. We will see what happens with Tom Aspinall in the future of the heavyweight division. So let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen in the near future. I think obviously Ciryl Gane is next. Who's after Ciryl Gane? What's after that for Tommy Aspinall? Next up this weekend, UFC 318. This is going to be a huge card. Obviously Dustin Poirier's retirement card. He's facing Max Holloway for the BMF. We got quite a few other really good fights on this card. Kevin Holland making a turnaround already. Of course, he just won a few weeks ago. I think that was UFC 317 now. Thinking about it, where he beat Vicente Luque. So he's got a quick turnaround against Daniel Rodriguez. Good to see. He's trying to actually climb the rankings and, try to get into contention himself, he said after that fight. So exciting fights to watch this Saturday night coming up. I do plan on going live again before this card, just as I did before UFC 317, and kind of trying to get more into, doing a live stream before the main card of a lot of these pay-per-views. So if you want to check that out, make sure you hit the bell, stay notified, subscribe to the channel, and all that good stuff. So let's look at this card for a minute. I'm not going to go into a huge breakdown just because I'm going to look over the card, and I'll probably save that for Saturday night, at least for the main card. I mean, a lot of, names of recognition value at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. Let the good times roll Saturday night. Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber, which I don't think I've seen Zellhuber fight, actually. 2 unranked lightweights. Michael Johnson, who's, of course, been ranked. He's been around for quite some time at this point. Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. That is an interesting fight. Obviously, Pitbull came up short in his UFC debut. Kevin Holland, as I mentioned, against Daniel Rodriguez. Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov, which there's a huge chance for Kopylov to really get his name up there, and he is the favorite heading into the fight, a minus 245 favorite. And then you got Holloway and Poirier. Looking at the prelims a little bit, Kyler Phillips against Vinicius Oliveira. Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. Couple of decent fights right there, ranked fights in the middleweight and bantamweight divisions. Francisco Prado versus Nikolai. I'm not even going to go for it, man. At welterweight. Past that, really not as many names. Adam Fugit, feel like I've seen him fight a couple of times. Jimmy Crute on the card at light heavyweight versus Marcin Prachinio. Ryan Spann on the card at heavyweight. Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson McVeigh in a middleweight bout. And kick it off, Carly Judas versus Nicole Caleri. Hope I got that right. But a really good card on Saturday night. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Give me some predictions. Like I said, I'm probably going live for this on Saturday night, probably around 8 p.m. Central Time, 8:30. Get a little, about half-hour live stream is what I've been doing before the pay-per-views, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see how everything shapes out on Saturday night. But definitely excited for this card. I mean, beyond excited for this card, for real. And I feel like the UFC put together back-to-back really good cards in UFC 317, UFC 318. I know a lot of people talked about, the UFC falling off, all, this and that. But I think that at the end of the day, it's just, if you're a fight fan, you're a fight fan. If not, you want to see the guys that are going to get the casual fans going. And, no disrespect to any of the casual fans out there or anything like that. But I think that, this is a very good card. Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov, Holloway versus Poirier. Obviously, hardcore fight fans are going to be excited for this card. So, again, let me know in the comments below what you think. Give me some predictions, how you feel about this card going into it. And I will be live on Saturday night. All right, so last up, we obviously have the MLB All-Star break happening right now. Last night, Cal Riley with a big win in the Home Run Derby. And the Home Run Derby, very interesting. I like how they've almost combined like the old style with the new style and the timed. Very interesting. I'm not going to lie, I watched it very casually, so I didn't completely understand the rules, but it seemed like a pretty exciting event. And, some of those, Ellie De La Cruz in the first round was absolutely on fire. Cal Riley finishes up with a victory. Very fun event. And, I feel like it's akin to the dunk contest, where it's, always fairly exciting. Obviously, you have some years that are, just beyond belief over other years. Kind of think back to the Bobby Abreu, 20-some home runs in the first round back in the 10-out era, and different things like that, different years where it just, I can't remember what year, but the year they implemented the time, and Jock Peterson, I remember having a really good home run derby that year. So, you remember certain derbies. I feel like as a kid, I remember Albert Pujols in the, I think, 05 home run derby in Chicago at the White Sox Stadium at Comiskey Park. Guaranteed rate field now, I think. But so, you remember certain years, and just like dunk contests, remember certain years. But I do think that it was a pretty good event last night. Seemed pretty fun out there. But right now, obviously, this is where we sit. We have the best team in baseball as the Detroit Tigers, which is unfortunate for the Kansas City Royals as they finished the first half at 47-50. So they are 3 games under 500 going into the second half of the season. Got some really good races going on. The AL East is very exciting with the Blue Jays at 55-41. They're 2 games ahead of the Yankees, 3 ahead of the Red Sox. And the Tampa Bay Rays are not out of it, 5.5 back. The Orioles, they might be out of it at 11.5 back. The AL Central is pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point, I feel like. And then the Mariners are not out of it, but 5 games at the break. They're going to have to make some ground going into the second half, but 51-45, very solid record Then looking at the National League, one game behind the Detroit Tigers is the Los Angeles Dodgers at 58-39. They're 5.5 up on the San Diego Padres, 6 on the Giants, and the Giants obviously making that huge move for Devers. So maybe they can get back in the mix in the second half of the season. They're only a half game out of the wild card. You look at that NL East, and the Philadelphia Phillies have come back and now have a half game lead halfway through the season, which or at the break rather than halfway through. We're a little more than halfway through, obviously, but the New York Mets half game back at 55-42, the Phillies at 55-41, and in the NL Central, the Brewers right there in the mix, one game back, 56-40, with the Cubs at 57-39, taking first place of the NL Central. The Cardinals and Reds not out of it, but at 51-46, which is unfortunate that a 51-46 record probably would be really good enough to get you some places in the AL, but the NL last couple of years they have just been better than the AL record-wise for the most part. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting second half. I don't know what the Cardinals will do or the Royals, really. I know me and EDJ kind of talked about it. Let's look at the wild card standings. But who would be buyers and sellers, which we'll probably get more into that over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure EDJ will be back to talk some of this stuff with me. But the Detroit Tigers, as I said, they are the top of the AL. They'd be the 1 seed. Then you got the Astros and Blue Jays. Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners would be the wild card teams in the AL. The Royals at a 4.5 game clip right now behind. So they are still very much in the race for the wild card. I don't think 4.5 is too bad at halfway through the season. We've seen, obviously, much greater deficits came back. That run differential at -28 is very bad. And then the Guardians even worse at -45. They're still in the mix right there at 4.5 as well. Past that, you're going to have some pretty big turnarounds in the second half, that bottom three with the Orioles. Obviously, the A's and White Sox, I don't think we expect really to contend at all, but 7-3 in their last 10. I think the Royals did enough, like EDJ said. If they could do enough in that last, home stretch, that they would probably be buyers at the break or at the deadline, and we will see about that. But I think that they still could be buyers. 4.5 out of the wild card. Try to get back to the wild card and back in the playoffs this season. You don't want to waste the season of Bobby Witt's career. Now you got Jack Caglione as well up at the major league level. We'll see. For the NL, obviously the Dodgers control the NL at the moment, just a game better or half game better than the Chicago Cubs. The Phillies right behind them, and the Mets hot on their trail as well. They were leading the division most of the year and then kind of falling apart there towards the end of the first half. Wild card wise, you got the Brewers, Mets, and Padres. You see the Cardinals sitting at a game and a half. So Cardinals very much in this thing. I do think that it would be smart for them to be buyers at the break, or at the deadline, I should say. But we shall see either way. And I don't know, man. Second half is going to be interesting. Cardinals have been such an interesting team to watch, very hot and cold. They're 4-6 in the last 10. So we'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the Cardinals and Royals heading into the deadline. If either one will be buyers or sellers at the break, we shall see. But I am excited to just enjoy the All-Star game tonight, like I did the Home Run Derby last night, and see these guys put on a performance this evening. Okay, last but certainly not least, I just wanted to take a look over at the All-Star lineups. The All-Stars, they deserve their flowers. They've had a great first half and looking to finish up with a great second half, but the Midsummer Classic, where we get to stop and watch all of the best of the game perform. I was fortunate enough to be at the 2012 All-Star Game in St. Louis. That was pretty awesome to see, and just a wild night. So it is just such a spectacle, and one of those things that I think that we somewhat take for granted in sports. You have the best players in the world gathering on one field for one evening, and it's just about the game, just to have fun. And I think that we take that for granted a little bit. We want more out of it, or I don't know. We all talk about it a bunch, and you hear the talking heads on TV or wherever, maybe the radio, wherever you consume your sports media of, and so giving these guys, I think, just their flowers of, they made it here and deserve to be acknowledged and to talk about, what this game will be tonight and what it means. Cal Riley, who starts out at the catching position, starting for the American League. He won the home run derby last night already. He has had such an amazing season, on pace to break records, all the home runs that he's hit this season. So he'll be very exciting to watch in the second half of the season and see what him and the Mariners can do, because, we just went over it. They're right there. Could be a wild card team, could win that division. I mean, they're right there with the Astros. So we'll see what happens in the second half. But from Seattle, Cal Riley at catcher. From Toronto, Vlad Guerrero Jr. at first base. From Detroit, Gleyber Torres. Junior Caminero from Tampa Bay. Obviously, he had a great showing in the home run derby last night as well. Jacob Wilson from the Athletics at shortstop, which it still kills me that the Athletics are just the Athletics, as they're playing in Sacramento this season and for a couple of seasons now. And he plays shortstop. In the outfield, Aaron Judge from the Yankees, Riley Green from Detroit, Javi Baez from Detroit. What a story he's been this season, and all the Detroit guys in the starting lineup. Also, it just goes to show how good they have been in the first half. Best team in baseball. And but Javi Baez really turning it around. You look at, for the last few seasons, he's almost been a joke. And to get back to that all-star level is awesome to see. Tarek Skubal getting the start for Detroit. He's been fantastic. One of the best pitchers in the game at the moment. Jose Ramirez was elected as the AL starting third baseman, but he opted out of the game. And we look at the reserves. Alejandro Kirk, who this is at least his second All-Star game from Toronto, catcher from Toronto. In the infield, Jonathan Aranda from Tampa Bay, Alex Bregman from Boston, Jazz Chisholm Jr. from the New York Yankees, Maikel Garcia from the Kansas City Royals. Now, he originally wasn't a part of this lineup, who got put in. I don't know if it'll say something on this plus, but I don't know if it's the fan vote exactly or what it was, but I know EDJ sent it to me because we were talking about how is this guy not an All-Star? He has been so solid for the Royals all season. Seems like one of the only guys that can actually hit the ball for the Kansas City Royals. But Brandon Lowe from Tampa Bay Rays, Zach McKinstry from Detroit, Isaac Paredes from Houston, Jeremy Pena from Houston, another Kansas City Royal, and Bobby Witt Jr. getting in there. Randy Arozarena from Seattle, Byron Buxton from Minnesota, who also was in the home run derby last night, Stephen Kwan from Cleveland, Julio Rodriguez from Seattle, and Brent Rooker, who we also saw in the home run derby last night, from the Athletics. Pitching-wise, Royals got a couple in there for pitching. Hunter Brown from the Astros, Chris Bubich from the Royals, Garrett Crochet from Boston, Jacob deGrom makes an all-star appearance from Texas, Max Fried from the Yankees, UC Kikuchi from the Angels, Casey Mize from Detroit, Drew Rasmussen from Tampa Bay, Carlos Rodon from the Yankees, Joe Ryan from the Twins, Shane Smith from the White Sox, Brian Wu from Seattle. You got Aroldis Chapman from Boston, which it is crazy that he is still going and at an all-star rate. Carlos Estevez from the Royals 4 total all-stars in 2025. Josh Hader from Houston will be in the bullpen, and Andres Munoz from Seattle. Moving on to the National League, Will Smith will do the duties at catcher from the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman also from the Dodgers at first base. Ketel Marte out of Arizona. Manny Machado, San Diego. At third base, Francis Lindor from the Mets will be at shortstop. In the outfield, you've got Acuna, the hometown guy that from the Braves, will be playing in front of his home fans in the outfield. Pete Crow Armstrong and Kyle Tucker, both from the Cubs, who have had an amazing first half. Of course, Kyle Tucker, that 3-home-run game against the Cardinals on July 4th. Shohei Ohtani will be DHing, and Paul Skeens will be starting. And another guy that just, I can't emphasize enough. 2 years in the league, 2 starts in the All-Star game for the National League for Paul Skeens. It's just absolutely insane what Paul Skeens has done. And speaking of which, I don't remember Brent Rooker was Brent Rooker was on the bench. Ryan O'Hearn, who I didn't mention at DH, I skipped over him. because I do have to speak about Ryan Hearn real quick before we continue on the National League, because Ryan Hearn, who was DFA'd from the Royals, Brent Rooker as well in 2022, which EDJ might be able to feel like me as a Cardinals fan, seeing guys like Randy Arozarena on this list, but seeing that they were both DFA'd from the Royals, Rooker picked up by, I want to say Oakland with the Athletics, and Ryan O'Hearn from Baltimore, who have both had great seasons, obviously great first half. So absolutely wild to see, and it just goes to show, like sometimes you just need a breath of fresh air and somewhere different to play. But Paul Skeens, going back to him, I mean, what he has done, I mean, this is a generational talent that we're getting to see. And some of the guys that we see right now, I mean, we are in an amazing time to be a baseball fan. Paul Skeens, Shohei Ohtani, some of these guys, what Tarek Skubal's doing right now, Freddie Freeman and the, Kirk Gibson-esque home run last year in the World Series. I think that we are watching a very fun period in Major League Baseball. I think the rule changes as well have helped make the game just that much more entertaining and digestible for everyone. And I mean, do we need 5-hour games? Like, I don't want to get into that necessarily right now because I know that's a debate, but I don't think we need 5-hour baseball games. Reserve-wise on the bench, Hunter Goodman from Colorado. That is their one guy that they've got in at least position player-wise. Pete Alonso from the Mets, Ellie De La Cruz from the Reds, Brendan Donovan, who has had an absolutely great first half from the Cardinals, Matt Olson from the Braves, another hometown guy, Eugenio Suarez, and Corbin Carroll from the Diamondbacks both make an all-star appearance. Kyle Stowers from the Miami Marlins. Fernando Tatis didn't get a starting spot, but he does get into the all-star, or onto the all-star team. Then James Wood we saw in the home run derby last night. Kyle Schwarber as well, part of that bench. And now to the pitching staff for the National League All-Stars. In the bullpen, you will have Andrew Abbott from Cincinnati, Matthew Boyd from the Cubs, Mackenzie Gore from Washington, Clayton Kershaw, which is seen as a legend pick, which that's awesome. I mean, you got to his 3,000 strikeouts, and, I don't know if he's announced if it's his last year or not, but I would assume obviously he's very close to it, closer to the end than he was to the start. Obviously, he's been pitching for almost 20 years now, it feels like. I mean, not quite. I guess probably like 15, closer to. But Jake Mizorowski from the Milwaukee Brewers, Freddie Peralta also from the Brewers, David Peterson from the Mets, Robbie Ray from the San Francisco Giants, Chris Sale for the home team. In the All-Star game, San Francisco has Logan Webb. Zach Wheeler from Philly, Yoshinobu Yamamoto makes it from the Dodgers. Jason Adam from the Padres, Edwin Diaz from the Mets, Trevor McGill from the Brewers, Randy Rodriguez from San Francisco, and we round out with a couple of Padres in Robert Suarez and Adrian Morjon. So the All-Star game is tonight. Obviously it doesn't mean anything anymore. We will see. I'm just excited to get some, fun baseball. Obviously, all the stars of the game, greatest baseball players in the world, all converge on one field in Atlanta, Georgia tonight for the All-Star game. If you have any thoughts or opinions, let me know in the comments below. Who got snubbed in this thing? How do you feel about how the lineups are? But that's pretty much it for this podcast. Like I said, I'm just excited to watch the game tonight and enjoy this All-Star game. So if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you leave a like on the video over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can rate the podcast as well. Really helps me out. Really helps push the podcast out to more sports fans, more baseball fans, MMA fans, Chiefs fans, NFL fans, the whole nine. But I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening on another platform, go over to YouTube and check out the Papa Show channel. I got plenty of other content. Jaden Daniels' film breakdown is out now, as well as Kingsley Suamataia and Jalen Moore for the Kansas City Chiefs, breaking down their film heading into the 2025 season. On the road, 500 subscribers at 340 at the time of recording, so we're 160 away from that 500 that I'm trying to get to before the NFL season. Got a little over a month, so I do think we can hit it. I appreciate all the love that you guys have shown me over the last few weeks, and really try to pump out the consistency on the content, and really buckle down and get more content out to you guys. And as the NFL season nears, I plan to get plenty more content out as well, going over, quarterback rankings, maybe diving more into fantasy football, I think, is really something that I think I want to do. So stay tuned on the channel. Hit that bell to stay notified as well. I do plan on going live on Saturday night, so if you want that notification delivered straight to you, make sure you hit that bell. I do plan on going live for the fights, before the fights, kind of break down the main card on Saturday night. So with that being said, until next week, it has been a great sitting here and talking out sports in front of you guys. Boy Papa Stro, out till next week.